Hi guys, welcome back to my Safe Space Kitchen. So today I'm going to be making spinach stew. Spinach stew is very simple to make. It is very healthy. As you can see, it is flavor packed and it is delicious. Spinach stew can be paired with rice, plantains, cocoyam, potatoes, whatever it is that you want to pair it with. It is great with it and it is very delicious. But in the meantime, if this is your first time coming across my page, this is my Safe Space Kitchen. I make cooking videos and I try to make it as fun as possible. Hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you don't miss another video. Now let's get into this recipe. So here I went ahead and defrosted my spinach, and the goal is to try to get most of the water out, and so that's why I strained it. Here I have my turkey, my smoked turkey. When you get it from the African market, it's typically smoked, but I double smoke it because that's just how I like it. Also, I went ahead and soaked my melon seeds. The goal is to try to get it to be soft so that when it's time to blend, it's easier. I have some ginger paste, some dried shrimp, some garlic, and some onions and some pepper. In here, I have my sliced onions and some Superku we're gonna use to infuse the oil. I have some diced tomatoes. You can use a canned diced tomatoes. It works perfectly. I also have my olive oil. Now, typically spinach stew is made with palm oil, but it's a preference thing. I don't really like palm oil like that, so I choose to use regular oil. I also have my mackerel, and I have some spices here. So I have some shrimp seasoning, and I think some chicken seasoning, some all-purpose, some cayenne pepper, and some salt. My all-purpose seasoning has a lot of natural spices, so when I use it, I don't do too much. So this is all that we're going to need for now. So first, I'm going to go ahead and blend my melon seeds. When blending my melon seeds, I don't use a lot of water because I want to achieve that consistency that would help when it's time to cook the melon seeds. If you add too much water, it's going to be runny. So I simply just use 1 cup of water here, and I go ahead and I blend my melon seeds. So my melon seed has been blended. So here I went ahead and added some salt, and what the salt is going to do is it's going to help when it's time to cook the melon seeds to be more lumpy. So in this pot, I'm going to go ahead and cook my turkey. Now I'm going to go ahead and add some spices. I will be adding some onion powder, some garlic powder, some ginger powder, some all-purpose, and some chicken seasoning, and some black pepper as well. I will list everything in the description below like I do always, but that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to add some water, and I'm going to go ahead and cook this until it is nice and ready. So while my turkey cooks, I'm gonna go ahead and in this pot I'll add my oil. To this I will be adding my sliced onions and my Superku. Superku is another form of salted cured fish. It is in between our local momone and our Kobe. So it's not too salty and it's not too stinky. So it's perfect for stews, when you're trying to build flavor. So I prefer to use Superku most of the time, and you see it if you subscribe. But anyway, once my onions brown up like so, I'm gonna go ahead and add my blended vegetables. So that's the pepper, the garlic, the onions, and my shrimp powder, and my my shrimp, dehydrated shrimps, and my ginger. So I go ahead and I pour this in here, and I lower my heat before it splashes everywhere. I give my blender a quick rinse, and I pour that in there, and I continue to let this cook on low heat until a lot of the water has evaporated and the oils start to pop up. So as my stew continues to cook, I go ahead and check up on my turkey, and it is fully cooked. One thing that I do is I always lower my heat so that I can get my liquid to thicken up, to this consistency. Sometimes I get a little more, sometimes, by the time I check up on it, it's all of the water is almost gone, but I still have that thick liquid base that I need to flavor up my food. So here, as you can see, a lot of the water has evaporated and the oils are starting to pop up, so that's an indication that it is nicely cooked. And so I'm gonna go ahead and add my tomatoes. I'm gonna give this a quick stir and let this simmer on low heat until the tomatoes has also nicely cooked. So once my tomatoes have cooked down a little bit, I'm gonna go ahead and I will add my geisha. Now I know a lot of you are probably gonna be wondering, what is geisha, right? So all geisha is simply mackerel in a tomato based sauce. Typically I get mine from the African market, but I'm sure you can find it at the international market, like an Asian market or a global market. If you can't find it, just find something in a some kind of meat or fish in a tomato based sauce, and I think that should do. It's no big deal. You can simply omit it. It's not, you don't have to. This is just how I make mine, and I like it. I prefer it this way. So of course I'm going to show you how I make mine, right? So that's why I'm showing you geisha, but you really don't need it. So once I mix my geisha in there, I go ahead and add my turkey, and I'm going to show you guys. You see that bottom, that substance is the water that has condensed into that thickness. Don't throw it away because it is packed with flavor. And because remember, all the spices that you added to your meat has been condensed, and so that is flavor. So I go ahead and I scrape everything from my pot into my my pot that I'm making my stew in, and then I go ahead and I also give it a little rinse and I pour that in there. I don't think I have that shot, but I do that as well because listen, that is where all the flavor is coming from. And I go ahead and give this a quick mix and make sure my meat is nicely coated with my sauce. That is very important. You always want to make sure you're coating everything, right? So once my stew is nicely coated, I go ahead and add my all-purpose seasoning. Now I don't do my shrimp powder yet because that condensed thick sauce that I just poured in there has a lot of salt and it has seasonings as well, and I don't want to overdo anything. So I take my time with that, and I always taste my food before I proceed. And so I didn't add it because I want to wait until the very last minute, and if it's needed I will use it. If it's not, then we will just omit it completely. So now that I have my all-purpose and I let it cook for a little bit, I go ahead and I just scoop some of my stew and set it aside, because not everybody likes spinach stew in my house, and I always like to just leave a little bit of stew on the side for people who don't like the spinach, right? So now that I have it like so, I'm gonna go ahead and just add my melon seeds that I blended. So all that I'm gonna be doing is just simply scooping it and then dropping it on top of my stew. So after about 5 to 10 minutes of cooking my melon seeds and my sauce on very low heat, I go ahead and I check up on it to see if it's at the texture that I want. So the goal is to try to get it to be as lumpy as possible, right? To the point where when you pick it up, it should, be almost like an egg, right? Where you can just pick it up like so. And so, if you check up on it and it's not where you want it to be, then you want to continue to cook it on low heat to get it to be more lumpy. Mine was fine, so I went ahead and I just mixed it in with my stew. The goal of trying to get it to be lumpy is some people like the texture, and they like to eat the melon seeds, and I think it looks good when it's lumpy in a stew as well. But I mean, if you don't care for the lumpiness, then just go ahead and mix it all in and just cook it on low heat, and it should be fine. It will turn out great. It's gonna cook either way, right? But it's a preference thing. So once I go ahead and mix my melon seeds, I go ahead and I add my spinach as well. I'm gonna go ahead and give this a quick mix. Make sure that my spinach is nicely coated in with my sauce, and then from here we are almost done. So as I mixed in my spinach, I noticed that the spinach has soaked up a lot of the stew, and so I went ahead and added a little bit of oil to help retain moisture. At this point you can add water if you want, but that would mean that you would have to cook your stew down a little bit, and that might change the flavor and the texture of your stew, and that's not what you want. So you want to add oil. That would help a lot. And as you all know, I didn't use a whole lot of oil from the beginning, so adding a little bit more at the end doesn't hurt anything. Also, I'm not gonna add that shrimp seasoning. I'm gonna save it for another recipe, and that's because I tasted my spinach stew and it tastes perfect. Adding that shrimp seasoning might make it too salty, and that's not what we want. And so at this time, the stew, it's done. It is ready to be enjoyed. Yes, we're done. If you follow this recipe, you guys, you're gonna have a perfect spinach stew. It's not gonna be where, you know, there's spinach stew on the side and then there's like 2 cups of water on the side when you put it in the refrigerator. That's not what we want to do. You hear me? I'm kidding. But if you follow this recipe, you will get a good spinach stew that does not have too much moisture to the point where it will separate, right? And so yeah, that's all that I was trying to say, not to be shady or anything. But this is the end of this video, you guys. Thank you guys for watching my video. I really appreciate your time today. And if you made it to the end of this video and you have not subscribed, hit that subscribe button and help a girl grow her channel. You are truly appreciated. And to my old subscribers, thank you all so much. I really appreciate your time. And so until next time, you guys, I'll see you in my next video.